What is the best time to sleep and wake up? Hey, this is Coach Vulcan, and today I have some exciting things to share with you. I have 3 things on today's agenda. First of all, we're gonna talk about our next episode about Oasis, the bringer of insomnia, bad sleep, and despair as it relates to when should you wake up in the morning and when should you go up, when should you go to bed at night as well. Second, I want to talk with you a little bit more about what is the perfect time to go to bed. Is it like Ben Franklin going 5 a.m. to bed in the morning, or is there a better time to go to bed and to fall asleep in the night so that you have a great refreshful sleep at night and have all the energy, power, and magnetism that you need in the day to do the things that you want to do? So we're gonna find out that. And the third thing on my agenda today, I've been preparing something since October, for the last 60 days. And this surprise that I have been preparing coming up for 2020 is finally ready. And I'm finally ready to share what that is. And I have a little challenge for you in today's episode also. Throughout the story of today's episode, I'm gonna be dropping little hints about what the big surprise for 2020 is. You can guess what it is. If you can, comment down below and let's see if you can. So, let's get started. I want you to imagine you and me are in a big room with a large king-size bed right in the middle, and a man lying on that bed with his eyes shut down. And then a figure with a black coat comes up to him and he says, "Wake up! This is a terrible time to be sleeping." It was 3 o'clock in the evening, and by the way, 3 o'clock in the evening, that is a terrible time to be sleeping at, as you'll find out why in just a few minutes. So Nightmare, he was waking up, or he shouted at his father Somnus, and Somnus said, I'm not sleeping. Yeah, okay. We have good news for you, said Nightmare, and at that a dream also popped up. His second son, he joined Nightmare next to his father's bed. Good news? He said, what good news do you have? And Nightmare told him the story of last time, where they went to Oasis, the bringer of insomnia and bad sleep, and they found out who has put 1 billion people around the world in a state of bad sleep. They found that a man named Aaron has removed Wi-Fi access in... I cannot see the lens very well. I want to look at you in the eyes, so I'm going to get a little bit closer here. Now I can see you. Now you can see my eyes. Comment below if you can see my eyes well, so I know I'm looking at the right spot. So last time we find Dream and Nightmare found out who was causing bad sleep to 1 billion people around the world. Aaron, who had removed all Wi-Fi access, and as a result of that, that resulted in people getting a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety about their jobs, about their lives, and that pushed them over the edge to bad sleep. And they said, and Dream said to Somnus, we also now know if we just need to bring this Wi-Fi back to people around the globe, and they're gonna sleep well again, and you, my father Somnus, you can get back up from bed. And Nightmare, he also said, yes, that is correct. What do you say about that? And Somnus, very slowly, very weakly, because he was feeling the tiredness, the weakness of all that 1 billion people around the world who have bad sleep, very tightly. As a 1,000-year-old turtle, he moved his head towards Nightmare, and he said, "She tricked you. She tricked. What do you mean? Aaron is dead. He's that man or wisest told you who could bring Wi-Fi back. He is dead, or he's so far down the rabbit hole of despair and misery and insomnia that he cannot help himself, let alone the world. That's the only reason why she would tell you about him." And then a silence fell into the room, and someone asked them, "Hey, you didn't give her any other information. You didn't give her anything in return for that valuable information now, did you?" "No, of course not," said Nightmare. At this dream, he nudged him with his arm, and Nightmare said, "Well, we did. I did give her just a dusty old journal, the journal of time. But what harm could Wises do with that?" "What harm?" said Somnus. "Well, let me ask you this. And right now, I want you to think for a moment, who do you admire? Who do you respect the most? Who is your biggest mentor? Maybe somebody from history, maybe somebody living today. And I want you to think, as you're thinking about how much that person has inspired you to be where you're at today, how much that person has impacted your life in a positive way. Think for just a minute, what would have happened if that person never came into your life? If let's say that person had insomnia for 6-7 days a week, and he had very low energy and he was feeling very weak, so he could not inspire people to the degree that he inspires them, to the degree that he inspires you, and let's say you never met him. Would you still be where you're at today? Would you still be doing the things you're doing today? Would you be in a better position or in a worse position right now? Well, with all those questions, going back to... Come now. Going back to Somnus and Sleep and Nightmare, Somnus said, "This is the power that you gave Oasis with your dusty brown journal. With this journal that you gave her also the power to push people's legends, to push people's mentors over the edge, so that they never became the mentor, the person who inspired people today." And in that moment, Dream started laughing and singing and jumping from left foot to right foot, saying, she tricked you," smiling and laughing at his big brother. And then someone said, "And what about you, little Dream? You didn't give Oasis anything now, did you?" And Dream laughed. "Well, I did give her the Journal of Fables, but what can she do with the Journal of Fables?" And then someone told him. Now, pausing the story again. Whoops. Give me a moment to readjust the phone here. There we go. Just another moment. So, thinking of fables, I want you to imagine. Think of your favorite story as a child. Is there any story that really resonated with you, that you really absolutely loved hearing, and maybe you read over and over and over again? For me, one of those stories from childhood was Harry Potter. I loved that. I've probably read some of the first books. The first book I've definitely read over 10 times. And some of the little ones that were quite heavy ones, I've read at least 4 or 5 times, even those big boys. So those were some of the stories that I absolutely loved. And now, I want you to imagine which What stories did you love hearing and listening the most to as a child? Now imagine that each and every one of those stories, instead of, and 3 days they ate and they drank and they celebrated, instead of ending all those stories in happiness, what if those stories ended in 3 days they rolled around in bed, they struggled, and they could not fall asleep? What if every story you ever read or heard ended in misery and bad sleep and despair? Well, that is the question that Somnus presented to his son Dream. What would happen to people if every single story ended in misery, bad sleep, and despair? Every single story? Yes, said Somnus. All the stories from the bedtime stories, the stories from comic books about the superheroes, the stories we watch on Netflix and on YouTube, every single story. What if every single one ended in bad sleep and misery and despair? Well, said Somnus, that means people cannot dream. What's bad about that? Well, if people cannot dream, if she destroys that, well, then everyone would just fall into despair. Yes, said Somnus, that is correct. And then a heavy silence fell into the room. So, what do we do about this? Well, before we find out what do we do about this and how today's episode is gonna end, let's talk for a few minutes about what are the best times to go to sleep and what is the best time to wake up in the morning. So, going to that, our original question in the episode. The best time to go to sleep in the evening and to wake up in the morning is this. It is the one best aligned with your circadian rhythm. So your circadian rhythm, I want you to think of it as a clock. Can you see this drawing that I made for you? Yes, this is one of those all-time clocks. Did you have a clock like that as a child, by the way? I had one of these as a child. I still remember my dad going to work 3 o'clock in the morning when this clock would wake him up because he was doing shift work. By the way, speaking of shift work, do you want me to make an episode about shift work and how that can affect your sleep and how to sleep well even if you're working shifts? Comment down below. Now, speaking of circadian rhythms though, let me just adjust the camera again so it doesn't fall off again. Yes, we're good. So your circadian rhythm, it's like a clock inside your brain ticking, and as it ticks, it goes around between cycles of wakefulness, keeping you awake and alert, and cycles of sleepiness, keeping you, putting you in a more drowsy, more sleepy state. And this is important for you because when somebody goes to sleep at the same time and wakes up in the morning at the same time, your clock is running smoothly. All the gears inside the clock, they are turning well. But if somebody starts to mess up with their times, let's say you typically wake up at 7:30 in the morning, but let's say during the weekdays you don't get enough sleep, or maybe you work too much, you go to bed too late, or during the weekends, let's say you try to get back that sleep that you missed during the week, that you oversleep during the weekends. Well, what happens is all those gears turning your clock, they start to turn more slowly. They start to turn more and more slowly, and that causes your clock to get messed up. Meaning, in times during the day, during the morning when it should wake you up and you should feel refreshed and ready to go after your goals and your dream and your mission in life, well, that's when you feel still drowsy and tired and you need 3 cups of, and that's why most people, they cannot wake up without 3 cups of coffee and 3 Red Bulls drinking them up. Also, if you take any naps during the day, like especially right after lunch, when people are feeling very, they get that post-lunch craving. If you do that post-lunch craving, not for food by the way, but for a nap, if you do that, that also disrupts your sleep clock. So what is the solution? When should you go to bed? What should you do? Should you do the Ben Franklin thing and wake up in the morning 5 a.m.? No. The secret to good sleep is this: waking up in the morning at the same time and going to bed at the same time as well. Why? Because when you do that, all with your clock, imagine all the gears, there's 100 gears inside turning and turning. When you go to bed at the same time and you wake up in the morning at the same time, all those gears, it's like you're putting grease on them and they're running smoothly every single time, which means in the morning you're waking up refreshed and energetic and inspired to do the things that you want to do. You have all the energy, all the hours in the day to do it all. On the flip side, when you don't do that, when you mess up with your sleep cycle, that is when the cogs in your clock stop to turn. And what happens to a clock when its cogs stop, when its cogs are fucked up? It stops tick-tocking. So, if you want good sleep at night and you want to feel refreshed in the morning, do this. You don't need to go too extreme and wake up 5 a.m. in the morning as Ben Franklin. I, for example, so as I said, you don't need to be too perfect and go too extreme with this. Going at 5 a.m. waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning every single morning and going to bed at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock every single night, to the minute, to the second. No, that's not what I'm saying. I, for example, wake up at 7:30 in the morning, plus minus 30 minutes, and I go to bed around 11:30 or 12 o'clock. So you have a little bit of wee time, about half an hour, and that is good. However, what you don't want to do is simply go to bed one time on Monday at 9 o'clock, on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, on Wednesday at 2 a.m., and then back to 10 o'clock. Your clock just gets too much confused and does not know what is going on, so it messes up your sleep. So we don't want to do that. So that's it. That is the best time to go to bed and to wake up, the one that is best aligned with your circadian rhythm, meaning simply going to bed roughly at the same time and waking up in the morning roughly at the same time. That is it. Now, so just before we left our characters, Dream had asked Somnus, well, what do we do? And then a heavy silence had fell into the room. Now we're back into Dream's bedroom, with Dream lying on his bed and with Somnus lying on his bed and Dream and Nightmare next to him. And he says, come closer. I'm gonna tell you exactly how we're gonna beat Oasis. And they came closer and he told them their plan. And he told them his plan. That became their plan as well now. And as he told them, at the end they said, "All right, we're ready to go." "Perfect," said Somnus, "and I'm gonna take us a nap." That doesn't make any sense," said Nightmare. "You are the king of sleep. You shouldn't take naps in the evening." I'm just kidding," said Somnus. "No, I'm gonna take just a tuna and ham sandwich." "A tuna? So fish and ham? That doesn't make any sense." "You don't make any sense," said Somnus. "Now go, my sons." And they went out. Now, last thing for our video, the surprise coming up for 2020. Did you guess what that surprise is? Comment below. Well, here it is. Coming up for 2020, we have 3 things. First, we have season 3 coming up with sleep. But that's just the beginning. I am also creating 2 brand new series. That's right. 2 brand new series. 1, Sleep Fables, and 2, Sleep Legends. So these series, as you can probably guess, they will be all about a wise going back in time and trying to crush the spines, as Bane crushed the spine of Batman in that one comic book. Wise is gonna try to crush the spines of the biggest heroes, the biggest mentors that you might have, some of the people that might have inspired you to do the things that you're doing right now in your life. She's gonna go back in time and do all she can to put them into misery, bad sleep, and crush them. Also, we're gonna go into the world of fables, and in Sleep Fables, the goal of Oasis is to take all the characters from our stories and put them in through bad sleep, misery, and despair, so that every time you hear one of those stories, or somebody else in the world hears one of those stories, that person gets infected with the insomnia virus and goes into a state of bad sleep that they cannot get out of. So, these are the things coming up. Sleep Legends and Sleep Fables. Did you guess that that's the surprise coming up? 3 brand new series. I have a brand new schedule coming up. You'll be able to see it on my banner, on the banner of the channel very, very soon. And so 3 series. We have Sleep Season 3. We have Sleep Fables, and we have Sleep Legends. Now, who is the character that you would like me to include in these upcoming series? Who is one of your biggest mentors from history? Who is a big legend that really inspires, or somebody you really respect and you would like me to face off against Wise as the queen of misery and despair? Who is that? Comment down below. And who is the fabled character that you would like to also see in the series? Comment down below as well. If it's a really good character, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna include it in our series, and I'm gonna mention your name as well, as you, the person being the one who mentioned it first. So, a lot of exciting things coming up for 2020. Stay tuned for all of that. My name is Coach Vulcan. I thank you for hanging out with me today, and let's continue. I wish you a very good sleep tonight. See you soon.